Hi everyone. So on today's TED Talk, I wanted to talk about exercise or movement as I like to call it. So when it comes to exercise, I find that all of us have done it and we all might still do it. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves that exercise has to be in the gym, or it has to be going to a class, or it has to be going for a run. You have to be sweating, you have to be out of breath, and you'd have to be dying. And it's, we're so dramatic when it comes to exercise. And that's not our fault. Sometimes it's what we've seen on social media, it's what's being portrayed, or we compare ourselves to what other people are doing and we think that's what we need to do. Whereas I like to see it as movement. So any movement is better than no movement. So going for a walk is one of the most underrated things that you can do for your health, for your fitness, for your physical health, for your mental well-being. But it's one of the things that is so underrated that we just think, oh, it's just a walk. So if you're finding at the moment you might feel a bit overwhelmed by exercise or not sure what to choose, try to take the stress away from it and try to put the fun back into it. So try and think of it as like movement. Any form of movement that you do is basically the body movement and is a form of exercise, isn't it? You're moving the body, you're getting the heart rate up, you're becoming a bit warmer, joints are getting lubricated, and the body is moving. And this can be things like cleaning up, running around after the kids, taking the dog out, running around after the dog. And there's other simple things that you can do, like instead of taking the lift at work, take the stairs. Walking to the shop instead of driving. And there's all these little ways that we can increase physical activity in a way that takes the stress out of it. So some days we might feel like that really hard workout in the gym, or we might want to go to that class, or we might want to go and stretch it out. Some days we might just want to dance around with the Hoover, one of my favourite things to do. Some days we might go and clean the car. Some days we might walk the shop instead. We might get off the bus, stop earlier. And all these things are forms of movement, walking to go and speak to someone in the office rather than emailing them. These are all forms of movement, but they're all things that we just don't think of because it's what we do on a daily basis. So instead of always stressing ourselves out and thinking that the workout has to be this big deal, just start by looking at increasing the amount of movement you do a day, and whatever that looks like. So starting to increase it by, as I said, walking, doing things that you wouldn't normally do, getting up, walking around the house instead. Little things like this, and they sound so silly and you must be like, oh my god, is she messing? But it's a form of movement, isn't it? And it's better than sitting there and doing nothing. So take the stress and the pressure away from exercise and start doing something that you enjoy. If you're doing something at the minute and you just don't enjoy it, then just jib it off and go and do something that you enjoy. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself that you have to be dying at the end of your workout, or, well, I weren't dripping in sweat, I weren't out of breath, so I haven't had a good workout. It doesn't work like that. And also listen to your body. Like, what you do today might not be something that you can do or want to do next week. It's everything goes on, and there's all contributing factors to that. So for girls, it's time of the month. It's also what stage of your seasons that you're in. So whether you're in menopause or perimenopause, or you're still got your menstrual cycle, all these things are going to affect it. Other things that affect it, like a dehydration, if you've not hydrated enough, if you've not fueled the body enough as well, which is another video on its own. If you've not had enough sleep, if you're stressed out, if your body is just fatigued, if you're coming back from an injury, if you're anxious about stuff, all these things play a part. And as I said yesterday, if you're adding that more stress, it's not what you want to do. So think of exercise as movement, of moving the body. Me now, if I get up and walk around the house, I've done movement. That's better than me sitting there doing nothing. So think of these things when you're coming to do exercise, and to take the pressure off yourself, and to start looking at it as more as just something that you get to do, something that you're honouring your body by doing, rather than it's a chore and you have to do it. Find the fun, find the enjoyment, like we should do with everything in life, but definitely when it comes to movement. So anyway, that's today's talk. Hopefully that's helped. Drop in the comments if this sounds like you, or if you need some more help, and have a wonderful rest of your day.